Following the emergency declarations by federal and state governments on March 13th, 2020, the City of East Bethel declared a local emergency on March 16th, 2020 to address the COVID-19 pandemic. The mayor of the city has the authority to declare a local emergency per Minnesota Statute 12.29. A local emergency cannot last for more than 3 days except with the consent of the City Council. The city has been following this issue closely and has implemented several changes in line with recommendations of the CDC and the Minnesota Department of Health as protocols to deal with these issues. The changes are as follows. There will be a separation of city staff to reduce exposure to employees from contagions and to help ensure our succession plan is not affected by an illness that can be transmitters to the successors for administration, finance, public works, fire, planning, and building inspections. Mike Jazorski, Jackie Campbell, Stephanie Hansen, and Aaron McDermott have been designated to work from home through April 15, 2020. The other separations we are making are officing Steve Lutmer, our building inspector out of Fire Station 1, Jeremiah Haller, our water treatment plant supervisor to the water plant on Viking Boulevard, and Jay Heyer, our assistant water technician out of the ice arena. Jack Davis, Carrie Frost, Cindy Hilliard, Amy Norley, and Nick Schmitz will remain at City Hall during this period. Public access to City Hall and city services will be by telephone and email. Any items that cannot be addressed by these means will need to be done by appointment. Drop-in and walk-up visitations will be instructed to contact the appropriate city departments for assistance or appointments. Building inspections for private residential permits will be limited to roofing, siding, and accessory buildings. There will be no reduction in city services. Contacts between those with appointments between staff and at public meetings should observe social distance recommendation of a separation of 6 feet from each individual. All activities at city-owned facilities have been suspended through April 15th. This includes the Community Senior Center, Whispering Aspens Community Center, and the ice arena. City council meetings will be held as scheduled. Several changes will be made to the council chambers to reduce risk of exposure, but the meetings will remain open to the public. Unless you have direct business with the City Council, we request that you observe the City Council meetings remotely on either Cable Channel 10, the city website, or on YouTube. Unless there are essential actions needed, the Planning, Roads, and Parks Commission meetings may be postponed. Please check the city website for updates on these meetings. All city parks and trails remain open to the public. Park pavilions will not be available for rental at this time. One other item to mention too about the building department, those limitations of permits and inspections are only for existing residential. That doesn't apply to new permits for buildings that are under construction. So with that, unless there are some other items, then the staff is recommending approval of the extension of the local emergency declaration as exhibited in attachment 1 to April 15th, 2020.
We did add one additional change to that to the council meetings, is that we're suspending the public forums on council. So just so everyone's aware. As always, the council members are available through email and phone. So if you do have issues that you'd like council to discuss at our council meetings, you can get hold of us ahead of time and we can bring that up. But it's about trying to minimize public attendance at the meetings. We're not restricting it. We're just trying to keep it down to a minimum. So,
is there any desire to consider any of our upcoming events in April for cancellation or suspension at this time?
Well, two things. We've got our regular scheduled work meeting for next month. Is it next Monday?
Next Monday. It's the following Monday. It's April,
yeah, the following the council meeting.
April the 6th.
Yeah, so that's within that April 15th window, and we can keep it on the agenda for now and discuss it on Monday. But that would be, I think, one activity that we can consider as not necessary. And then the other is the town hall meeting on the 23rd of April. But I think we can wait till we've got 2 council meetings before that to see what's going on before we cancel that. So, and I think that would be a postponement because it's an important venue to communicate with the public too, so we'll see how we handle that. You know, perhaps we do a virtual town hall, you know, if we can, so. But I think we just wait and see on that, that's my thought, so.
Move for approval of the extension of the local emergency declaration exhibited in attachment 1, titled City of East Bethel Declaration of a Local State of Emergency, and published on the city website.
Second.
Motion made, second, discussion.
I have questions. So are any residential permits being denied for anything?
No.
Okay. Because I know a lot of people are home, so they might as well do some home projects if they can.
The problem will be getting inspections done. We will not do any residential inspections on homes that have been occupied for more than 30 days. So let's say somebody comes in and they want to do, they're remodeling their basement. They can get the permit, but we're not going to schedule inspections at this time. And the
Which
reason,
are done after it's done or before it's?
well,
I
they
don't know.
may have to come to a point and stop, and the reason behind that is we don't know if anybody in the home has been sick, exposed, or has the coronavirus.
And you can't ask?
We can ask, but sometimes people aren't always as forthcoming, and sometimes they don't even know.
That's true.
So again, this is just through April the 15th, so I don't think at this time
Yeah.
that'll have any real impact on that. If somebody's building a new home, those inspections will continue, essentially because that's outside, really members of the home aren't there. And generally with the contractors, I mean, it could happen, but generally if somebody's sick, they're not at work.
Right, okay, yeah, because I didn't want to shut down any more businesses than we have. My other question is, on here that you didn't list anything for Coon Lake, so, in that paragraph where it talks about a community senior center, Whispering Aspen, and Ice Arena, I take it as, that's obvious, but I don't know if everybody else will.
We don't own that building, that's why we can't, that's owned by the Coon Lake Center itself, it's not owned by the city.
But the city can deem it closed, can't we? I mean, if the mayor can, or the governor can close things that they don't own, why can't we close things that, I just don't want public.
If it falls within the guidelines that the governor has issued, and right now, there's to be approval of no social gatherings of more than 10 people.
Is that still true?
I haven't seen any updates or changes to that.
Well,
at this time.
because my understanding is that it was no gatherings of more than 50 people, and that the 10 people was just a recommendation from the federal,
CDC.
well, the declaration from President Trump, my understanding was, it was a recommendation, it was not a declaration.
But both of those guidelines are not mandates, they're just guidelines at this time. Now, the closure that the governor issued is a legal order where the bars, restaurants, and all those businesses apply.
Right.
And
Just as,
they can enforce that.
as just a point of information, for the president to declare something like that would have to be an executive order, not something broadcast over public TV or private TV.
But getting back to your point, I've heard that the Coon Lake Community Center is in the process of canceling their activities. But
Okay.
again, it's not a city facility, so we really don't have any jurisdiction over that. All we have is total jurisdiction over what facilities we own and operate.
My guess is the state, with all the businesses they ordered closed, or all businesses are licensed with the state. I can't think of anything else that closed that wasn't licensed, so. Because there's still church gatherings going on, there's still weddings going on. I don't know, Beaverbrook is still operating.
I don't know, they had their meeting last night, I haven't heard
Yeah,
what
see, they,
happened,
so there's still private functions going
Yeah.
on, so.
So, and my final comment is regarding the Roads Commission and Planning information, can they not use Zoom to meet or something similar?
We're looking at ways to have telephonic or electronic meetings. In all likelihood, though, unless there are matters of urgent consideration, we'll probably cancel those unless there's items that have to be acted on.
And that would be my recommendation, or,
Yeah, we discussed that on Monday, we canceled roads and parks and planning, because there was business to carry on, so.
Yeah, it seemed to work out good. It was set up just like this, and we had 4 people,
For
and they were all
planning,
spread
yeah.
out, and it worked just fine, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the concern on particularly the planning commission is if there's a public hearing, then the public can come in and depending on, because there was a few the other night, but it was manageable. You know, Blaine had a meeting Monday night, a planning meeting, and they suspended one of their agenda items because they knew it was gonna be a more turnout for the public and for that same reason. So we can adapt based on what the agenda is coming up. And even gets to a point where council has a light agenda, we can consider suspending our meetings too, so.
Jack, if somebody comes in with like a plans or anything for development, they can still come in and make an appointment with you guys and,
Absolutely. We're not closed, we're just controlling access to the building.
Okay.
So we put all the contact information, it's up on the sign out front, it's on the website. We've notified all the people we're currently working with what our situation is, so they'll know how to contact us and arrange a meeting.
is there gonna be any issues with that development on the east side? I know we got things going on with that. Things are still good to go there?
As far as I know, they are. I'm setting up a meeting with the developer next week to see if there's gonna be any impact on him, more from the fallout of the stock market issues and the potential recession. But that project is still going on as planned, and we'll have a discussion and an update on that at the council meeting on Monday night.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, the changes the cities have implemented and will continue to implement here are all part of the reducing the exposure and trying to reduce or minimize the spread of the virus. But yet, it's important that we keep our city functioning, and that goes the same for society as well. And there's a lot of things that still have to happen, and we have to find the right balance and the right way to get these things done. So I think the city's doing our part right now, and it's, working to protect our employees, protect our citizens that come in, and protect the community, so.
And I'd just like to make one more comment. Our fire department kind of went along with this. They're kind of screening their calls when they come in now. I don't know if Mark wants to say something, but they're not going to flu-like calls anymore, and they're setting up a duty crew here. I don't know when that's gonna start, so. I don't know, Mark, if you want to say anything, or?
Thank you. Last week, the fire department did change call protocol just on one item, and that was we stopped responding to any flu-like symptoms. I can tell you since I did a search on calls before I came here. So starting Friday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday through today, there's only been one call that would have came out on flu-like symptoms, and that was about 2 hours ago, where the ambulance actually had canceled everybody anyway. So one thing that we think is happening, talking to a couple other fire departments, is the call volume has decreased, and we're not sure if that's because people just don't want to call the fire department because they don't want us to infect them, and which is good. So the fire department, as I said, has revised the medical call out, and Anoka Dispatch created a new category called medical/ill, and that's where all those flu-like calls go into. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't go to a call that ends up being a flu, much like a couple days ago, the fire department answered a call of a possible stroke, And actually, the call that we got to at the front door, we heard the medic say, well, how long have you had that high temperature? And how long have you not felt good? And then we literally did not get in the door, we just stood at the landing. So we do get those type of calls, but we have a protocol set up so that at least the officer or senior person or EMT can kind of screen what we've got and then decide what resources are needed inside the house. There was one of our firefighter was exposed via close contact to a person who tested positive for the virus. The firefighter was exposed on their regular job, not fire department related. And that's important to know because I think a little bit of rumor mill is going on. So the firefighter was exposed also after being in any one of our fire stations and was not part of, after taking part of any fire department activity, including calls, trainings, and our physical exams that we did on Monday night. So that firefighter is quarantined from the fire department for 14 days. So that firefighter, has, about 10 days to go. I do want the council to know that we have ordered our mobile dispatch tablet / computers. Now, this was a 2020 budget item anyway. We went ahead and ordered those, and why this is important right now to get those is because we have integrated Allina dispatch, and Allina is the medical transportation company, the ambulance company. Their dispatch has now been integrated where we get their notes on these computers. So literally, we can get a call, and then on the way, whatever notes come in, information comes into Allina, that transfers right over to us, and extremely important for us to get that information. So when you call 911, if you're sick, what happens is the Anoka County dispatch answers the phone, and then they'll screen your call and decide what to send out, and then they transfer the call to Allina dispatch. Okay, and then Allina dispatch will ask you a bunch of questions, and those questions then show up as I said, what we call CAD to CAD, are the notes that are on the tablets on the computers. So that's an important part. We are looking into the costs, the financial costs on a duty crew and what that would all involve. We haven't implemented it yet. There'll be a further report coming on the regular meeting on Monday on that. My recommendation at this point would be let us go ahead and do the planning, but I don't know if we're ready to pull the trigger yet because, looking at the call history, I think we're keeping up on it. But if that changes, Jack and the mayor and the liaison will be notified immediately. So we continue to monitor this on a 24/7 basis. So.
And your fire stations are all closed to the general public, right?
That's right. We have closed to the general public, law enforcement, and at this time, Station 1, of course, has the base for Allina ambulance, and we haven't restricted their access at this point, but as far as any other gatherings in the fire stations, all three of them, we're limiting that just to the firefighters. I have canceled fire training for the next 2 Mondays. And once again, we'll take a look at the 15th and see what's going on. Not only because of what I see, but also our training vendor is starting to cancel classes also.
Just to be clear though, although our East Bethel Fire Department's not going to respond to these flu-like symptoms, people should not hesitate to call 911
right.
because they still be responded to by Allina. So
And I also want to make it clear that should Alina or law enforcement need us on any call, definitely, we would respond to that, so.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Okay, then to the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. I think we covered item 4 at the same time, haven't we? So. Okay, unless there's anything else,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Our special meeting is adjourned.